Hi, everybody. Welcome to Untapped Azania. My name is Maureen, the even the queen, the even the princess, whichever one you prefer.
Okay.
I am not riding alone. I am riding with Mesh. How you doing, Mesh? What's happening?
I'm cozy chilling.
Huh?
I was a bit sick this week, but I'm back. I'm back.
That sounds
I'm
like
back.
like an op, and I was like, yeah, I'm back.
Yeah.
Better know, like an antagonist or
Like,
some
I'm
sort.
not leaving. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. I'm also good. Hectic week this week, but we made it through. We're here today, so I'm happy. Listen, people have been asking about those cups. Apparently, we didn't introduce the cups to the people and the masses. So
I'm a socialist, so the plan wasn't capitalism, yeah.
but listen,
I'm at least left leaning, so the plan wasn't capitalism, but yeah, I'm not opposed to that.
listen.
I'm not opposed to people wanting these.
I'm for this. It would be so nice to just see people carrying one of these or wearing one of the shirts that says another podcast or something like that. So do subscribe to the channel, like, comment, but also let us know if you'd like the cup, the shirt, or any merch at all. Let us know in the comments or hit us up personally if you do know us, and then we'll make sure it happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyway, let's get on with the show. What's been happening, Mesh? What are you tapped into?
What am I tapped into? I've been tapped into not so much this week because I was sick.
Amen.
So lucky to the untapped community that don't like.
There's no rent.
Yeah. So it's the whole William Smith dying thing that's been sort of on my radar. Like that hurts because, like, yeah,
we all grew up with that guy in some way.
He put me through. He got me through a lot academically. Yeah, the meme coin thing. Like we've been talking about like Solana and it being the meme coin capital for like the past 2 episodes. So I think Solana finally has a competitor. We might have like another sort of casino, and this is the Tron DAO. There's a lot of activity that's been happening there as well. There are a bunch of memes that being minted.
Thing, I was like, yo, okay.
Yeah.
The kids are all right, fam.
The kids are all right. Obviously the Floyd Shivambu thing was like, okay, what's going on? That was a shock. But yeah, it's like,
are you shocked though, or did you
I
see
am.
it
I am
coming?
honestly. I didn't expect it.
Okay.
I genuinely didn't expect it. I mean, I've always knew that there's something there. Like there's tension.
Yeah.
Right. But I didn't think it would get like that far. I didn't think Floyd would leave the EFF. So,
And the move that he made, like.
Yeah, how he made it and stuff. If it makes sense. But I think it's brave. I think it's a very brave move. Yeah,
I was looking at that and I was like, maybe because there was rumors before the presser, so I was like, maybe it's like a calculated move, like maybe they're trying to like do some political something.
Oh,
but then I watched the presser and I saw the body language and it didn't.
Yeah, but like
seem
now with that, right? There's the presser, like them together, right? There, obviously you can tell Julius is hurt. The body language is telling. Like you can obviously tell, like, okay, these people aren't saying everything they need to say. They just want the ending to be amicable. So this is mainly for that. And then you have the whole Julius addressing the Gauteng branch of the EFF. That was explosive, right? And I think that's more real in terms of just how he feels about the whole situation, right? And then you have the MK's presser and then Floyd speaking. And I think he's more sober-minded, right? In as much as he threw jabs, this narrative like that they're working on something.
Yeah,
like it's like they're working towards a merge. I think that's what Floyd wants. It's not something that's been discussed per se. It's not something that's happening. But I think that's what he wants, just from like what I got from what he was saying, right? Like it does not make sense for a UDM to exist, right? It does not make sense for a PAC to exist. And like at its core, like obviously there are nuances to like the differences in the political parties, but it's like for the most part, we represent the same thing, right? We're all left leaning. So we're better off coming together and like having this attacking the right wing as a unit, right? So I think him talking about it or thinking about it from that context speaks to like that narrative and just what people were thinking could have been the reason. I mean, it's not the reason, but I mean, like, it could potentially happen because I do genuinely think that Floyd does have good intentions. It does sound like he has good intentions. He did throw a few jabs, but I feel like that was
not,
and that was worth it because like you can't just have someone throw jabs at you and you don't like throw jabs back.
But really, it didn't feel like it was his main kind of thing throughout the presser that he had. He had, like what you're saying, a whole narrative that he was trying to push about kind of coming together and working together.
like basically outlining why he chose to do what he did and looking at sort of the leadership of the MK party, you can tell that, I mean, the intention is sort of there to bring together a bunch of people that have skin in the game.
Yeah.
You get me? Like, their leader in parliament is knowledgeable, is competent, he's done a lot. So I think, and the role he's been put in, given that he's built essentially EFF from the ground up, is an important role given that MK doesn't have structure, right? And we can, like, there's a lot just going on all over the place. But still on, like, the political topic, something else that I was thinking a lot about was the US election, right? And I was thinking about it again because obviously Barack and Michelle came out, they had their speech, and I was like, damn, like, these people are so good at this. Right? Like, they're so good at this. But it got me thinking about just the two candidates and who I'd vote for if I was in America, right? So yeah, I'm gonna pose that question to you because it's something that's like come up just before you go into what you've tapped into, because this is sort of the last thing I was gonna bring up. So yeah, just as a like if you were in America or a citizen, or maybe you've just lived there long enough to vote, who would you vote for?
I mean, I'm not that clued up in American politics. And it, like, I guess my opinion is based off of what I've seen and what I've seen, like, you know, like other commentaries coming along. And actually what I see Kamala Harris doing in the streets, I actually like her, man. I like her. She's doing what Donald Trump does, but for Black people. Like, she's got the streets. And I feel like from that perspective, not much, just from that, she's got the streets. I even saw like a video of her coming out to They're Not Like Us or something like that. So that was dope. From that basis, I would probably go for her. But I think there was a show I watched of Dave Chappelle talking about Donald Trump and him criticizing white people voting for, like, poor white people voting for Donald Trump, because he was basically saying, like, yo, this guy is more on my side as a rich Black person than you as a poor white person. So it would make sense for you to vote for, like, the other side than for you to vote for Donald Trump. But I honestly don't know much, so I would just base my decision based off of the fact that she has the streets.
She has the streets,
So, cool. And also it was a kind of a decent comeback from the Donald Trump situation, like him kind of almost having the streets with that whole situation with him almost getting shot. So when she came up and, like, she kind of neutralized the situation, because if they didn't change their candidate after that, it was done. Like, they were not going to win the elections. But when she came in, she kind of came in with that, even me, I have the streets. So I kind of like that. So just based off of that, I'll probably go for her.
Interesting.
Who would you vote for?
I think mine would be more like based off of like what you said about what they essentially like sort of stand for. So for me, I would look at it from a policy standpoint, right?
For sure.
And for me, back to the Chappelle thing, like when I'm talking about the stand for, I'm talking about Chappelle, like Trump is more representative, so he stands for me more than he stands for you, right? So for me, as an individual, from a policy standpoint, I'd probably vote for Trump. I'd probably vote for Trump.
You know what? I think if you said this a couple of years ago, and maybe showed up with like a MAGA head with like makeup.
No, not like I'm not that deep.
But I'm just saying, like, had you said this like a couple of years ago, I would be more surprised,
outraged,
than I am now.
Yeah.
Because I think when Trump was running with the MAGA head, it was a whole contentious issue.
I don't think Trump is not racist. Trump is
Yeah.
definitely racist. I do think he's racist, but one, rather the devil I know, right? So back to Kamala, she's the vice right now, right? And Joe Biden's been arming Israel. You get me? So that in and of itself is like questionable, right? Trump is literally the only US president that didn't go to war. He's the only US president that didn't kill people, bro. So for me, that's what I'm saying from a policy standpoint. If we could have someone that is willing to not fund a war, then I'm cool with that.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. What have you been tapped into?
A couple of things. So this week, right? I was driving. I don't remember where I was driving, but I was driving. I think I was driving to like Woodmead or something, and there was a specific car. I'm not gonna mention the brand of that car because I don't want to bash any brands. But like, I don't know what happened, but I was trying to turn. It was like a four-way stop situation, so I was trying to turn on the one lane, and the other car was on like the different lane. So I'm turning, and this guy hoots like he was like that loud hooting, and I'm like, what's going on? So I'm surprised. But after I just saw like this guy is just like he's just angry over nothing because he could actually move lanes. But then as opposed to me being mad at the fact that this guy is hooting for nothing, this guy is literally like, he stops by the street and he's like on my case, like, yo, what are you doing? Yeah. I just drive because I'm like, I don't have the energy for this. But this guy continues, right? He gets in his car, continues driving like next to me, literally swerving around the road, like doing crazy things on the road. And I'm like, and it's a fast car. I drive like so it's a fast car. I know if he was to drive, like chase me or anything like that, he would like catch me. So like, I just look like straight by the road and just drive, right? He's doing all these things. People are watching and it's a whole thing. It just got me thinking like this road rage incidences that happen and why people get so angry over like nothing. Like, it's a cut, man. Like if you got cut, it's okay. Move. I mean, if I did something wrong and like it caused an accident or it caused some commotion, right? I would be like, okay, like the rage was justifiable. But this guy literally was just mad that I didn't give him the lane that he wanted, whereas it was still like I had the right of way.
Yeah.
So I was just thinking about the road rage situations and just generally how people get mad over nothing. Like, what's making you so mad? Like, it's morning, we're going to work or you're going wherever you're going. Why are you so mad? So yeah, I was just thinking about that because I feel like if that guy had a gun or he had like
he was that angry.
He was that angry, like he was on the road, like and I'm like, this could have been my last day on earth, firm, over just like cutting somebody. You know what I mean? Like, do you think we are an angry society?
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah, we are. We are. And like, I think for the most part we are, because also that is because we're also just always in a rush. You get me? Like, most people are in a rush, right? Like, if you are not in a rush in this life, you're special. like that.
Fair enough.
It's like the whole thing of like if you wake up every day and you take a walk, right? You're in the 1 percentile because people
That's true.
aren't
People don't have
making
the
that
time.
effort of like just taking a walk. So I think about it that way, like, nah, road rage, dog. Like, I'm just going to continue. I'm usually either on the radio, but most times I'm playing music, right? Sometimes playing a pod. So I'm just going to continue with my life, right? You're gonna do your thing. I remember there was a day that someone got so pissed, right? I wasn't driving and I wasn't alone. But like I'm with a friend and someone's so angry that they literally went in front of us. Their car had like these sprays. So it's like the spray came out of the back and he sprayed us. And I'm like, bro. And
Like,
like it was so corny. We just started laughing. Like, so
Yeah, but
people
it's
get,
like,
but it's like what's happening inside your heart,
yeah,
bro.
like, why are you
now
mad?
because
Why
when you're
are you
angry, it's like not crying, right? If you're sad, it's recommended that you cry because it's like internally, like there's a
emotion that's supposed to be let
it's
out
toxic.
in stomach.
So you're letting that toxicity build up internally, right? Just let it out. So it's like I wonder, when you allow yourself to get pissed off of a stranger, just like blocking
The way
or
just the entitlement on the road. There's a specific brand that has a proper entitlement.
I know
road.
which brand
like,
it is.
Yo, bruh. But yeah, I was
But
thinking
taxi
like
drivers as well.
I was about to say that if I was a taxi driver that cut this guy, do you think he would still have the same rage?
Nah.
Because I feel like as a society we've accepted that taxi
driver
drivers
would
do
also
the
stop.
But I'm saying, like, I think we've accepted as South Africa that taxi drivers have their own rules and it's okay. Like, we get mad, but like you don't get as mad.
I don't get mad at them.
Yeah, but yeah, that's what
I
I've been
let them
thinking
do
about.
their
I was
thing
just
because
like,
it's like you might just end up in a wild. Because taxi drivers be doing the wildest things on the road, so it's like you might end up in a wild ass situation if you try to compete with them.
Yeah.
So just let them do their thing, bro. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, so I've been thinking about that. It has like opened a lot of tabs in my head. Like, why are you so angry? Are we just angry as people? And why is the anger
Most
targeted?
people are angry, bro. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you're not sad, if you're not angry, if you're able to manage your emotions, you're so much better off than so many people.
Emotional
like, people are
intelligence
angry,
in some
people
way.
are sad, people are a mess, bruh. And I'm not saying I'm better, but I understand the importance of regulating my emotions.
I get you. So yeah, that's the one part I've been thinking about a lot because I was just like, yeah, that's strange. The other part was our friends there by Boeing Styliner. They're still not back. You might have guessed it. They're not back. But like I saw an article came out yesterday and they were talking about them using a SpaceX shuttle, and for some reason the suits that they have on their current Boeing Styliner do not match the SpaceX shuttle in some way. But apparently it's not a risky situation. It's just that they would have less protection on that. And it just got me thinking again, Uri. Like there's so
what are they changing ships?
Yeah, the idea is to kind of change ships from the Boeing Styliner to SpaceX. I think it's called Ghost something. I heard Dragon spacecraft. That's what it's called. So they're trying to move like spaceships and stuff. But then their suits that they have on the other shuttle do not match. So they're going to have less protection if they do use that option. So it just got me thinking again, or like, life is so unpredictable. Like you could go out just saying, I'm going to go buy bread. And that, I mean.
Yeah, but those kinds of problems, I mean, if we're going to compare them, right? And I see where you're going with this. Yes, life is simple. You could just want to go buy bread, get bumped by a car and die. But those kinds of situations.
So I wasn't going to be that dream.
It's so wild. But I wanted to say that, like, think about Habala that was stuck under the water. Think about the Titanic. It's all just like low-key rich people problems, like.
It is rich people
Poor
problems.
people aren't getting stuck in space, right? So,
Yeah.
That's why people
It's like
that's why
creating.
people aren't even concerned about this, because it's like, why should I be concerned about someone who put themselves
In
in
that
such a wild
situation.
situation? You get me?
I don't know what I was seeing. I don't know if we had a conversation about this or something like that. That there is enough, something about there is enough problems in the world. I wouldn't want to create problems for myself. Like there is enough trauma in the world. I wouldn't want to just out of nowhere create some form of a trauma. And I can't remember what I mean, like what I watched, and it was speaking about specific situations where people just go out of their way to just like, create trauma unnecessary. It's not even supposed to be there. But yeah, that's what I've been tapped into generally. We had this conversation this week at the office, right? And I found it so interesting. It was like a formal chat about wellness, and we're talking about gender roles. It's always like a polarizing issue usually when people speak about gender roles, because usually the guys are like on one side, the ladies on the other side, and it's a whole situation. But like they were basically talking about how in certain societies there are justifiable quote unquote reasons of why there would be something like gender-based violence, right? And yeah, there was so many statements that were problematic, but there was one statement that made me think, right? The one statement was a woman's role in the world is to just give birth to children, right? Oh, sorry. And then the whole conversation around that was that women shouldn't be working, women shouldn't be like doing anything constructive. The only thing they're responsible for is to give birth to children, take care of the household, da 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 da. And one of the things that came up while people were talking about that was that women have the right to determine if and when they want to have children, right? Which I totally agree with, right? 100%. We have that right. But then I was thinking, do guys have the same privilege of deciding when they become fathers? And
yeah. Wow. I mean, like, if you think about it, right? In as much as like you could say as a woman, I choose when I can have a child, right?
Yeah.
You obviously need a sperm donor,
Yeah.
right? Which wouldn't be difficult, right? Given
Yeah.
that men are vulnerable, but like
vulnerable.
yes, I don't think a woman would struggle to actually get pregnant. So
Fair
I get
enough.
you. I get that idea at like at like an extreme level. Like a woman can decide.
Can go out
Yeah,
and-
like
okay.
she can decide when she wants to have a child, right? But with men, then like there are all these nuances, right, to it. Like obviously, I can't carry a child, right? So I need
Sure.
to have someone carry that child, right? So it needs to be mutual. But it's like, do I have power over that decision? Yes. I can choose to pursue a relationship with someone that I plan on marrying when I choose to, right? I could say, like a guy could say, or a girl, like you could say the same way you could say, I'm just fooling around, right? I'm going through my whole phase, right? Or you could say, I'm dating for marriage, right? So I feel like it's the same. Like I could intentionally say I want to have a child, right? And go out of my way to like find the right person to have a child with. But to a certain extent, it's limited by the other individual, right? If they want to have a child, because I can't police. Like they could even get pregnant and choose to not have the child, because I can't police them. I can't choose what they do. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question. I've just been going on different tangents, but it's like for me, I think about it from like the relationship standpoint, where it's like it's the same amount of power that you have, like because you could be in a relationship with someone that has completely different intentions from the ones you have.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
Because of where their mind state is. So yeah.
So is your answer yes?
Yes, I do think we have power, but it's limited.
Okay,
and I don't think
for
we
sure.
do have as much power as like a woman would have.
Because the way I was thinking about it, slightly the same way, how you're thinking about it, to say you have the power to an extent. Like, you can decide to not be in a relationship. You can decide to not have sex with somebody. All these precautions or whatever that fall into that aspect. But it is limited, because once somebody becomes pregnant, once a woman becomes pregnant, they decide if they want to have the child or not. You could be like, yay, I want to have this child. And they're like, no, I'm not ready. Yeah. Or they could be like, yo, I want to have this child. Spiritually, I'm not the kind of person that supports abortion.
I don't believe in abortion.
I don't believe in abortion. Or they just feel like, now I'm ready to have a child for some reason. So they decide to have a child, and you're like, fam, that's not what we decided on. And then it got me thinking, in that specific situation, right?
And then there's the corny one that I just need to, I don't want to have a child out of wedlock, but it's like, why were you
doing things out of wedlock also? Like, if that's your reason, obviously, like, it's wild. It's shady also. But I was thinking then, if I decide I want to have a child, and you as the guy, you're like, no, I don't want to have the child. And I'm like, I'm going to keep this child, even if you don't want to have this child. When that child comes into this earth,
there's a whole conversation before that thing comes, right?
Yeah.
And the conversation is, I could bring up the fact that I don't want it, and I won't be involved in its life, right? Which is, I'm trying to find a word for it.
You're like, it's life. It's a baby.
I can't find the word, but the kind of word I'm looking for is, it's basically not right. I'm not saying this because I'm saying it's right. I'm saying this is how the situation would play out, right? It's, I could come to you and tell you that, no, I don't want to keep it. I don't want to be in this thing's life. So if you do decide to keep it, then I'm not going to be there for it, right? And another situation that could happen hypothetically, right, is you could be in a situation where you're with someone that's crazy enough. And this is just based off of how I'm observing how society reacts to a situation like that, where you're with a guy that's willing to go the lengths of killing you if you want to, right? Or put your life in danger, like force you to take the pills, or just like you
shady things.
Yes. So just before you get to the part where you're like, then the child is born, you need to think about the different
things that could happen.
Yeah, that could potentially before you could actually go through with that. Yeah. Right.
I mean, there's an episode on how to get away with murder. I think it was what's her name? I forgot the lead's name, but it's
yeah, I remember that was
the professor.
That specific situation where
got a student pregnant and is Hannah, Viola Davis's husband. I can't remember her name on the show, but yeah, her husband got one of the students. I just watched
How to Get Away with Murder a long time ago, but I remember.
There's a situation. I also watched it a long time ago, but he got somebody pregnant, and then I think he ended up killing her or something like that. And she kind of, the case landed on her lap, and she kind of had to defend it or something like that. I don't remember exactly the details, but but these situations like that happen even in South Africa.
But let's go to the child being born, sure.
The child comes into the earth, halala, you have a child. You're like, obviously you said, I will not be part of this child's life, right? And I'm like, yo, I'm going to keep this baby. So now I have a baby. Do we have a baby, or do I have a baby? Because, and do I have the right to now climb to you? And,
no, but
not from a legal perspective.
The thing about that baby is, bro, like, we can't alter genetics. So it can't be I have a baby. Like, but we have a baby, but we have a baby that
I'm not part of.
That I'm not part of. Yes. I think that's the logical way to look at it.
So wild that, like,
I wouldn't do that. I would, if I was ever in such a predicament, I would be in that child's life, bruh. Because what could potentially happen if I'm not is just wild. And not even from this child could be the next Usain Bolt or the next Mbappe. No. Like, this child confronting me one day, like, you're the reason I'm a mess. Like,
word.
Or this child is a rapper. Like, that would be my wildest. That would be my wildest nightmare. If my child became a rapper and I'm the pathetic dad that's being rapped about, because I've listened to a lot of that, and I wouldn't want to be that guy.
Oh my God, you're reminding me of a series. There's a series called This Is Us. I don't know if you watched it. So literally the first scene of the series is this guy, this black guy, knocks in front of like a flat or whatever. He knocks for a bit, and then somebody opens. He's like to this guy, "Yo, my name is da 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 da, and you see that car parked over there? That's my car. I bought it cash. I have a wife. I have kids that I take care of, and I just came here to tell you that I turned out great, despite the fact that you were not in my life, right?" And the guy that's like at the door is like, "Do you want to come in?" Like, he's just so calm. And okay, it was a whole comical thing. And then he goes in and has a conversation. But it's one of those things where one day somebody knocks on your door.
Imagine that's happening. I'm on my deathbed. That's how I go out. That's how you know, so no. I don't think I'm reckless enough to end up in a situation like that. But
if you do.
Yeah. If I was the person in that kind of situation, I think it would be super detrimental to not be involved.
And also, I think about it in both ways, because I feel like as the person who is saying, I don't want this child, like telling me beforehand, like, yo, I don't want this child, I understand that they're saying to the other person, expecting the other person to understand that they're not ready, so they take the actions to kind of favor them. But I also feel like on the other person's side, as the woman who's carrying the baby, I'm like, yo, maybe that situation that got us here in the first place shouldn't have happened. Because if you're not ready to be somebody else's dad, like, why are you getting involved in certain situations, you know? So I would judge somebody who decides not to be part of that child's life, because then it's like,
yeah, that's the thing.
That's the result.
It's like, even if the lady outlined that she's on the pill or something like that, right?
Yeah.
But then you know that that's not guaranteed, right? So there's a 0.1% chance. You are exposing yourself to that. So if anything happens, then you need to. It's actually making me think of a tweet I came across, right? Of a gay that was killed because, and this is at Kwamaima, I don't know if you came across it, but like, this person was killed because they went out with, or they were with, they hooked up with a guy there, right? So they were probably chilling together. That guy bought.
So this is a guy who hooked up with another gay guy, basically.
Yeah, but then I think with the situation, the straight guy didn't think the gay guy was gay.
Oh.
So then what ended up happening is, cool, the gay guy is buying the straight guy drinks and stuff. And then I think end of the night they leave together, right? Obviously the straight guy realizes that this is a gay guy and then kills him, right?
What?
And then there was a whole discourse, right? There was a whole discourse about it. And sort of what got the most traction was this take that this gay guy should have disclosed
the fact
that they're gay, right? Which I get. They would have protected themselves from a lot, right? And I mean,
protected themselves, but it's also like fair. It's common decency in some way.
Like, don't kill someone. It's wrong to kill.
Yeah.
Right? We can't justify killing. Because to a certain extent, when those arguments were coming up, it started feeling like people are justifying the killing, right? But then cool, right? We could say that this person, speaking on the fact that they are a guy, would have sort of circumvented the whole sort of situation from happening, right? And then someone brought up that, like, think about a situation, right? Similar to what's happening here, but it's a girl, but then she's on her period, right? And then that's why she gets killed. And you get me? So now it makes you like, I like that because it takes the conversation to a whole different level. Like, what did this person want from that interaction to begin with?
Yeah. And is it like whatever they wanted, is it justifiable enough to take somebody's life? You know what I mean? Like, if you're inconvenienced by
it's not in general. I feel like the second situation, thinking about it at a higher up level, makes you realize that the first argument
does not make sense.
It's like yes, you can have it, but it's like it's not potent enough.
That is wild, actually. Like, it is so wild. And I guess also it's just speaking about that situation. And when we were having this conversation about like gender roles and gender stereotypes and the whole conversation, somebody mentioned that like somebody tampering with like contraceptives or condom, whatever it is, and then like I become pregnant because maybe you tampered with a condom or whatever.
That's
right? Right, that is rape. But if you think about it, that kind of rape is not reported as much as the most violent type of rape.
Do you think?
But that also is like a very dangerous. It's psychological. It is somebody close to you.
Do you think it's not reported because like the person on the receiving end of it probably does not know?
Could be. It could be. It could be that also like it's like because it didn't happen in a violent way and it is somebody that they probably love. It's like they know it's wrong, but they can't put a word to it. They can't say in their heads. They're not allowing themselves to categorize
confront the reality that they've been raped.
They've been raped. So it's like a wild situation. But anyway, just thinking about South Africa in this current form, I mean, we have our own economic struggles. We're getting better at it. I think the rand hit like a 7.
South Africa, sorry. A big thing I wanted to bring up with the whole GNU thing, right? And then, I mean, with the Floyd thing was GNU, right? I think that it would be super detrimental if the MK party and the EFF fight.
Yeah.
Right, because like
they're fighting against the same thing, isn't it?
Yes.
They're against the GNU.
Exactly. So I think that they don't have time to, they don't have an incentive to. They need to gather themselves. Because they are like the strongest opposition bloc, right? Because
but, you know, when Julius came out at the Gauteng, thing, I don't remember what it's called.
Yeah, where he was addressing the
branch.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how he felt and how people have betrayed him and all of that. It somewhat just made me feel like with him, as much as he's talking in the place of the EFF and the people that betrayed him, it has a subtle...
Exactly, and that's another thing that's why I liked what Floyd... I'm starting to actually like Floyd a lot more as a guy, dog, like as just a thinker, as like an individual, right? Because he also spoke on that, like, the revolution isn't about an individual. Yeah. Like, when you start saying you've betrayed me, you've let me down, it's about you.
The pain I felt is the same pain I felt when my mother...
You see, that sounded like it was honorable in that it's like...
It was, but it also had like
It's like those narcissistic individuals that make you...
They make you question like
yourself, bro, and you end up feeling guilty for a situation that you aren't responsible for.
And it changes the narrative in some way, right? It changes, it moves people from thinking about something like what you're saying, that Floyd has the strategic view. It seems to make sense.
It's like, why aren't you willing? Like what he said is, why aren't you willing to? If you're saying this is good, right? If I'm saying that, like Maureen's company is so great, right? Why am I not willing to say, Maureen, I want to come work for you, but I want to be in the background, right? Like leave whatever I'm doing and I'm like there, I'm like second in command, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm going to come to your thing because it's so progressive and I'm going to, like, I want to be in the background.
No.
Like,
I want to give it to Julius, man. That man knows how to like invoke people's emotion and shift a narrative.
We
need, and I feel like we need that in South African politics. Sorry, Vash.
I'm looking for this word, bro. He's a main character.
Yeah. like Steven Seagal type of this situation. He never dies. Steven Seagal never
He's the
dies.
main character.
His main character remains main. If you watch a Steven
Seagal
movie,
even worse because he's not getting touched. We're like, bro, how, Sway?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you need a
untouchable.
Steven Seagal in situations. There's situations where Steven Seagal is needed. It's just that how
long is he going to be able to sustain this, right? Because I was watching SMWX and Cesar Mpofu Welsh was talking about how the ANC used to use the likes of Julius, right, to evoke certain individuals when they were in the youth league instead of like, because you're higher up, you don't want to look bad publicly, so you use the youth. And that's what I'm kind of getting with Julius' strategy now, where you see a lot of like these young cats in the EFF like throwing shots at Floyd. And it's like, Julius isn't doing it directly, but it's like, is this him? Is this him? Is he like, yo, can you guys just, so...
But you gotta love it. I feel like you gotta love
it's enjoyable.
Because this is what we voted for. We don't want to believe it, but this is we voted for this entertainment. We voted for these political parties to actually work together. Even Floyd moving, it's some form of representation of what people voted for. Because some of the votes that the MK got were supposed to be EFF votes. So it shows that people have moved in some way. And he, like even Julius mentioned in the press that like you're gonna see more people moving. It's gonna happen, you know? So it's one of those. But yeah, I was gonna say, right, in South Africa, in its state as it is, right, would you rather be in South Africa, which is like a country that's struggling, but be like successful, be the most successful person in South Africa, or be like in America where you're just like an average dude and you're doing well, but it's like you're not rich, or you're not extraordinary. You're just average.
So basically, would I rather be in a struggling economy and thrive, or be in a thriving economy and be average? I mean, I think South Africa, America isn't like a good example because thriving in South Africa is like Camps Bay. You get me?
Yeah.
So
okay. I hear what you're going. I hear where you're going with this because it makes a
Yeah.
Let's give a different example. Take out South Africa out of it.
I want to
compare it to Zim.
Yeah. So thriving in Zim versus, and I was in Zim last year, so I know the situation. So thriving in Zim versus being like thriving in Harari. Let's make it about a city. Thriving in Harari versus being average in Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
I'd rather be average in Silicon Valley. Because I think I'm more like a learner. I'm more like so crazy how my Gallup Clifton strengths have learner, but like I like the gutters. You know, I like
But when you say the gutters, like, I mean, if you're average in
that
Silicon
situation,
Valley...
given that I'm average in Silicon Valley would mean that, like, I'm learning from people that are better than me, right? Would mean that I'm a subordinate to, a super capable leader, right? So, for me, that would be super valuable.
But even just average in Silicon Valley, if you were to move that person there and move them to Harare, they probably would thrive in that environment. Yeah. It's like...
You know, I was having a conversation about... It started, like, I think we're referring to Olympiads, right? Like, say you were taking part in an Olympiad in high school, right? And you were the best in the district, right? You were the best Vembe. That would mean that you're competing with kids from schools, from villages and stuff, right? And for them, coming to your school would be like, wow, this place is better, the facilities are great, all that, right? And then say you win alongside a few others, and then perhaps you go to the provincial in Polokwane, right? And then the facilities you're at there, if it's a first, is like, damn, like, wow, this is, like, there's this. right?
So
but
it's
then
like a level bigger than...
it's a level bigger, but then that does better in the
Yeah.
Olympiad, right? And that's where the road kind of ends for you, right? And then there's someone who's from there that kind of ends up getting an opportunity to compete nationally, say in Cape Town, and then they're exposed to facilities that are so much better than the facilities that they are from. But then when they get there, they are exposed to someone even better because they like just have access to more. And then they win, and then whole lower Cape Town goes international, and maybe they go to an international Olympiad competition in Hong Kong, right? And then now they're exposed to people at that level that like that is common to them, right? And then they get beat, but it's like that's the thing. Like, in as much as you could be sort of the best in your space, in your environment, just moving into a different space. It doesn't even need to be that significant. Like, just moving one step up will make you realize that like so many more people are better, bro.
Okay.
Like so many more people are better.
So do you think people that would choose to stay in a Harare and be
it speaks to that individual quite significant. Like, if you ask me that question and my answer was the Harare, it would speak significantly to the kind of individual I am. I feel, you know, like for the kind of individual that's sort of good with just being in a comfortable state would opt for the thrive in Harare.
Because also, if you think about it, for you to thrive in a situation where people are not doing well, it speaks to kind of the way you're thriving and how you're thriving.
It could speak to that.
Or you probably have a savior complex where you're just like, I'll stay here and save these people. They need saving or something. You know what I mean? Like, because a lot of, we don't think about people that do that, like people that have a savior complex in a way.
There's actually a documentary called Saviour Complex, but it's slightly different because it's about, you know, the whole missionary thing.
Yes.
So like, they're like, it's about a lot of different ones, but like this specific one, she would literally vaccinate kids. Bro, she would do things that a medical practitioner should do. And she wasn't a qualified medical practitioner. She was just someone who believed that they were a savior, left America, went to a country in Africa. And, bro, like, you see videos of kids drinking water from a person's hand. Like, why don't you give this kid a cup? Bro, that's filthy. So, yeah, just the savior complex thing made me think about that.
I feel like as well, like, we don't think about, there's people who think they're saving people, but they're actually causing more damage than saving. And in their heads, and it's a tricky thing because in that person's head, they're convinced that I am saving these people. I'm somewhat better than these people, even from a spiritual perspective, a moral perspective, like the missionary thing, right? People coming into like white missionaries coming from wherever and coming into Africa and saying, oh, these people, unbelievers, they need to believe. But we had beliefs before they came in here. And part of the destruction that might be happening now might be attributed to the fact that a lot of the beliefs that we had that grounded us to the environment that we're in, we've lost that. And so how much saving did you do?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I came across something recently, like one of the biggest lies ever told was, and that's still thriving, was the fact that our first interaction with the global world was in 1652, right? Like, coming from where we come from, you think about a Mapungu beer.
I was about to say,
right?
Mapungu beer enters the chat.
Just Mapungu beer in and of itself, like, speaks to us interacting with the global world prior to 1652. So that is like...
But where is it right now? It's and why? Because people thought they were saving Africans from this.
Yeah, I think there's a whole different conversation on that, but I think for the most part that, because at least I understand that part of our history because we come from there and it was taught to us. But I think a lot of it was influenced by us passing down knowledge orally.
Right?
So there was a time where there was a generation that didn't get a chance to properly, because of what was happening,
Also, when we did write and when people did write, right, certain institutions kept those books, kept that information, and they preserved it in their museums. And I mean, it's great for museums to have whatever historical objects and save them there, but it's detrimental if that information could save that information could spark a brain that could like lead to some form of revolution in somebody's brain, in somebody's spirituality, in somebody's form of moral obligation, because it somehow feels like there's this narrative that Africans were not moral or didn't have the right
were uncivilized
moral compass before
you learn
missionaries
about the
came
Moors, right? And like the Moors literally found people in the West sleeping with chickens, right? And they educated them on like, yo, you don't sleep with your chickens, bro. So, I think there's a resurgence of that kind of information, even from a social media standpoint. If you do want to tap in, there's enough knowledge out there. Like there are enough platforms out there to inform you about these things. So I think that's great. The fact that like people are learning about our history more and like, the kids are deciphering. Like I saw this clip about like how kids were pissed at the fact that Bin Laden actually came from a privileged family. And I was like, that's so Gen Z like you're doing research about this guy.
But it's also like we go back to the when did we have this conversation about the growth catalyst, and we're saying like we like people that come from the struggle because somehow we identify with that story. It just keeps on coming back in its different ways, but it's the same thing. It's like we like seeing people that come from the gutter and being like,
it's like it would have been great if 9/11 was a guy that didn't come from privilege.
You know what I mean? So I guess that's something. And I guess I like the fact that we're all tapping into that, and it's somehow we're questioning things that are out there and having more conversation. So the generation that was skipped is unfortunate, but I guess we are picking it up in some way, and hopefully it does lead to something. I think we've come to like almost the end of this show, which almost feels like we have 20 minutes to chat, which brings me to the weekly questions. I have so many questions. I don't know which one to choose from. Okay, I will. This is one I was. Do you want the?
I'll allow you to go with them all, and then I'll just give straight answers. I'll just give straight answers. I won't think about it too much.
What do you think is your deepest regret, and what do you think would help you make amends or like just try and solve that regret if you haven't done so already?
Damn. Like it's back to what I said the other day, right? Where it's like, it's more on omission than commission. Like, you know how Warren Buffett says, like, my biggest regrets in investing is not that, like, his biggest regrets in investing are the bets he didn't make, as opposed to, like, he made a bet and it was wrong.
Okay, got you.
You get me?
I get that.
So, I think about it the same way, where my biggest regret wouldn't be the decisions that I've made essentially, but decisions I didn't make.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
Yeah, like that application I missed. What if? Okay. You know, like...
Yeah, I feel that. Actually, speaking about that, I was watching Podcast and Chill yesterday, and they had Carlo, His Duke from backstage. I don't know. I forgot his surname. I think it's Carlo His Duke or something.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, and he spoke at length about that, because he was like, he regrets keeping to himself because throughout his prime, he just didn't have friends. He didn't socialize within the industry. He didn't make the connections, network, get himself out there. He just went to work, do what he did, and expected somebody to notice his talent and be like, okay, that guy would be great for a movie.
Yeah,
That guy
so
would
so
be
like
great
yeah,
for-"
that's so accurate. So like a proper situation for me would be like first year undergrad, I was like super focused on my academics. Right? Should have been outside a bit more. You know, should have explored more on campus. But I wasn't paranoid per se, but I wanted to have absolute certainty that I have academics under lock. And then I kind of allowed myself to breathe a little more. So omitting that, right? Focusing more on my academic. I mean, I benefited from it quite significantly because I graduated quite well. But then I missed on experiences, right? Maybe I would have traveled more, like
around this
around the world, right? Because I only started considering that when I was in second year, you know. So it makes me question that, like just the omission of it, right? Like coming across competitions that now that are for 18-year-olds, and I'm like, damn, this thing existed when I was in high school, but I just didn't know about it because I wasn't on YouTube, right? So, yeah, I think about I had a modem, Greg. I always say this to my dad, like, because my parents like got me a modem, right? And with the modem, it's like you have your data's capped, right? You have 100 gigs, and mine would be done in like a week because I was like using it. I loved the internet, and I always say this to my dad, like, imagine if I actually had Wi-Fi, you know, like, because we only got Wi-Fi when I was in varsity, when I was already gone. So I think about that, like omission. It's all on omission. I don't regret any decision I made. I don't regret any pivot.
Interesting. Final question.
This is the main one that you'll also answer.
I don't mind answering this one. Who is the most influential person in your life?
Damn. From a personal standpoint or someone I don't know personally?
Influential. Most influential.
Damn, I have a lot of influences, bruh.
It does not necessarily have to, maybe let me tweak that actually. It does not have to be a person. Maybe it could be a belief. It could be it could be something you believe in that guides your decisions in life.
To the one who has created the all, you know us better than we know ourselves, and we know ourselves better than others know or pretend to know us. So pardon us for our shortcomings, whether they be known or unknown. Make us better than whatever they say, and do not make us responsible for whatever they say. That's a prayer.
Cut the cameras.
That's a prayer.
That is
I mean,
so
I learned
beautiful.
it from Yasin Bey.
So beautiful.
Most deaf, but like, that stuck with me for like years now. And it's like, someone will treat me in a way that I feel like I shouldn't have been treated. And I'm like, pardon them for their shortcomings, you know? Like, my most sober reaction to situations is when I tap back to that prayer. Situations where I don't tap back into that prayer, I don't react how I would want to.
Okay, I hear you. I hear you.
So that's a pivotal one.
That sounds like something that I would want
but
to
in
be.
more recent, more modern MASH, right? So because this is something that like I learned maybe 2-3 years ago. So there's a MASH before that, right? That didn't have that wisdom. But that's been something that's been so easy to work with.
Fire. That's so fire.
Do you wanna?
On my end, I just think I was gonna say Jesus, but you're not like, because I think he like if you just follow his teachings, he just taught about love.
You know what's the most interesting thing I find about like just Jesus is Jesus was a man of service, right? Yeah. And that speaks to like the whole wanting credit to do work, and it's like he was just a man of service. So it's like that's what from a Jesus standpoint, I would love to just be of service to people and not want to do it because I know that I'm gonna extract some kind of euphoria from it because like, I'm a savior, you know?
the thing,
and the Floyd chat of just being in the back burner and not like
bruh,
just like wanting to be seen. So I like that about the guy. Like he was a man of service. So
that guy was just about, and he like, he showed that like love is not like the most. I mean, people say they love, but they don't really love, because love is not the fluffy stuff. It's not like the nice, mushy feelings. It's literally doing the work, serving others. That's what love is. The only way
the
you
patient,
can show
the kind, the one that does not envy.
the one that does not envy, you know what I
the
mean?
one that does not keep record of wrongs.
Wrong.
Yeah, I get you.
That's love.
But peace out for the peace out till next time.
Peace out for the peace out until next time. We out.
Yeah.